You must be knowing this city. This is London, a very big and populated city of Europe. And this is another big European city, whose area is almost as big as London, but the population is 15 times less than London. This is not the only example. There are many big cities in Europe that are deserted or are becoming deserted. These cities will look like big cities, but if you look carefully, you will see something like this. You walk down the streets of what used to be tourist hubs, business capitals, port cities, and there's nothing. No foot traffic. No voices. Just abandoned buildings, for sale signs, cracked sidewalks, and flickering streetlights. This is not a coincidence. Europe is being emptied. Over the last 5 years, more than 40 million people have shifted locations across the continent. Although some cities are experiencing rapid population growth, that is because immigrants are arriving and non-Europeans are leaving at a faster rate. So in today's video we are going to show you why nobody lives in these 10 empty big cities in Europe. Let's start. Number 10. Glasgow, Scotland. In 2025, Glasgow is a shadow of the vibrant Scottish city it was once promised to be. It's hemorrhaging people at a pace Scotland can't halt. Government reports paint a grim picture. Over 53,000 residents, nearly 9% of the city's population, have vanished in just the last 36 months. Entire neighborhoods are now desolate. Their once bustling public housing estates reduced to ghost towns. Apartment vacancy rates in some districts have skyrocketed to a staggering 35%. Streets lie eerily silent. Shops stand shuttered, and where children's laughter once echoed, broken windows now stare blankly into the void. The job market, gutted by Brexit and the lingering scars of COVID-era shutdowns, has collapsed. Young professionals have fled en masse to England or beyond the UK, leaving behind an aging population grappling with despair. A relentless drug epidemic tightens its grip, with Glasgow now holding the grim title of Europe's highest drug-related death rate. 1,187 lives lost last year alone. Crime has surged, with violent assaults and drug-related offenses spiking by 22% in 2024, turning once safe corners into no-go zones after dark. The city's decay is palpable. Boarded-up pubs, once the heart of Glasgow's social fabric, crumble under graffiti and neglect. Hospital wait times have ballooned as the NHS strains under the weight of addiction and mental health crises, with overdoses overwhelming emergency wards. Schools, half empty, struggle to stay open as families vanish. Number 9. Naples, Italy. In 2025, Naples isn't just shrinking, it's unraveling at the seams. Once Italy's third-largest city, its metro population has plummeted below 2.5 million, hemorrhaging nearly 120,000 residents since 2020. Fear rules the streets, where a resurgent mafia strangles hope. Public safety is a cruel myth. Police presence is feeble, and violent crime has surged 28% in the past year alone. The youth, battered by a staggering 47% unemployment rate, see no future here and are fleeing in droves. The birth rate has collapsed to a mere 1.2 children per woman, signaling a city that's not just shrinking but fading from existence. Those who remain live in hushed dread, their voices drowned by the eerie silence of empty streets. Even tourism, once the city's lifeblood, has withered. Vibrant piazzas now echo with the howls of stray dogs and the creak of shuttered cafes. The air is thick with decay. Garbage piles higher as municipal services crumble, with uncollected waste clogging 30% of the city's streets. Organized crime has infiltrated every corner, extorting businesses at a rate not seen since the 1990s. Over 60% of small shops report paying protection money. Schools are closing as families vanish, and hospitals are overwhelmed, with wait times stretching into days. Naples isn't dying from war, it's dying from abandonment. A city forsaken by its people and left to rot under the weight of fear and neglect. Number 8. Leipzig, Germany. In 2016, Leipzig was celebrated as Germany's rising star, a beacon of hope in Saxony's heart. By 2025, it has become one of the most depressing cities in the region, a hollowed-out shell of its former promise. Population growth has ground to a halt. Migration from rural East Germany has dried up, and the influx of asylum seekers has overwhelmed the city's fragile housing and services, pushing infrastructure to the breaking point. Entire Soviet-era housing blocks in East Leipzig now stand over 50% vacant, their crumbling facades looming like tombstones over deserted streets. Public schools are shuttering as student numbers plummet, with 12 closures reported last year. Youth flight is accelerating. Over 15,000 young adults left Leipzig between 2022 and 2024, chasing opportunities elsewhere. The city's median age has climbed to 47, and its native birth rate has sunk to a dismal 1.38 children per woman, one of the lowest in Germany. The German dream never arrived in Leipzig. Instead, a chilling silence has settled in. Once lively markets are now desolate, with 40% of shops in central districts boarded up. Homelessness has spiked by 25%, with makeshift encampments sprouting in abandoned lots. Drug-related arrests have soared, with 1,200 cases last year, as addiction festers in the city's underbelly. Social services are collapsing under a 30% budget shortfall, leaving vulnerable residents without support. Leipzig isn't just stagnant. It's a city gripped by dread, teetering on the edge of irreversible decline. Number 7. Constanta, Romania. Constanta, a historic port city on the Black Sea, isn't just fading. It's dying, and Western Europe hasn't spared it a glance. In 1990, this once thriving hub boasted over 500,000 residents. By 2025, that number has plummeted to a mere 260,000. The lifeblood of Romania's youth has drained away, lured to Germany, Spain, the UK. Anywhere with jobs, better pay, and a glimmer of a future. Over 4 million Romanians now live abroad, and Constanta has been gutted, one of the hardest-hit cities in a nation bleeding its people. Neighborhoods near the shipyard and on the city's outskirts stand as ghostly relics, with communist-era apartment blocks now over 50% vacant, their darkened windows earning whispers of haunted from locals. Even the famed beaches, once alive with laughter, lie desolate off-season, as tourism dwindles to a fleeting summer pulse. Infrastructure is crumbling, water pipes rupture monthly, leaving streets flooded, while potholes scar 60% of the city's roads. The average age of those left behind is a weary 52, with a birth rate of just 1.3 children per woman, far below replacement levels. The city's decay breeds fear. Crime has spiked 15% in 2024, with theft and vandalism plaguing abandoned districts. Public services are collapsing. Hospitals report 20-hour wait times, and schools are merging due to a 30% drop in student enrollment. Stray dogs roam empty lots, and flickering streetlights cast long shadows over silent streets. Constanta isn't just empty. It's forgotten. A forsaken port city sinking into oblivion as the world looks away. Number 6. Leil, France. In 2025, Leil is a city under siege, not from external forces, but from a fracturing within its own borders. Once a vibrant hub with nearly 1 million residents, it's now unraveling as 27% of its native-born population, over 270,000 people, has fled since 2015, replaced by a wave of new arrivals who often remain culturally isolated, deepening the city's divides. Entire districts like Roubaix and Wazams are buckling under the strain, with public schools facing catastrophic enrollment collapses. 80% of students in some schools no longer speak French at home, leaving educators overwhelmed and integration a distant dream. Crime has surged to terrifying heights. Carjackings, gang wars, and riots erupt monthly, with violent crime rates climbing 22% in 2024 alone, turning once safe streets into battlegrounds. Home values are in free fall. 13% of Leil's housing stock, nearly 50,000 units, sits vacant, particularly in immigrant-dense neighborhoods where natives have abandoned their homes in fear. Locals grimly call it Paris's dirty cousin. But in 2025, Leil isn't just dirty. It's crumbling into chaos. The city's decay is palpable. Boarded-up storefronts line once bustling markets, with 35% of businesses in Wazams shuttered since 2023. Public transport is a gamble, with assaults on buses up 30%, leaving commuters wary. Youth unemployment hovers at 41%, fueling unrest among a generation with little hope. Hospitals are stretched thin, reporting a 25% increase in emergency room visits tied to violence. Leil's streets, cloaked in tension and flickering under broken lights, whisper a chilling truth. This city is teetering on the edge of collapse. Number 5. Plovdiv, Bulgaria. Plovdiv, one of Europe's oldest cities, should pulse with life, its ancient streets teeming with history and promise. Instead, in 2025, it feels like a graveyard, its heartbeat fading. The population has plummeted below 330,000, down from 380,000 in 2015. A stark 13% drop, as young Bulgarians flee to Western Europe, chasing dreams beyond their homeland's reach. What remains is an aging, impoverished population, clinging to a city with a crumbling industrial base, where factories stand as hollow relics of a bygone era. Entire apartment complexes loom like specters, with 70% vacancy rates casting shadows over desolate neighborhoods. Schools are shuttering, 15 closed in 2024 alone, while businesses that shuttered during COVID never reopened, leaving 40% of commercial spaces boarded up. Foreign investors have turned their backs on Plovdiv, with 0 major projects funded since 2020. Average home prices in some districts have crashed to under $15,000, yet buyers are nowhere to be found. Why? Because no one wants a cheap home, they want escape. The city's decay breeds a quiet terror. Crime has spiked 18%, with theft and vandalism plaguing empty streets, where flickering streetlights barely pierce the gloom. The average age of residents is now 54, and with a birth rate of just 1.1 children per woman, Plovdiv's future is shrinking faster than its present. Stray animals roam abandoned lots, and public services are collapsing, with trash collection delayed by weeks in 30% of the city. Healthcare is in crisis, with hospital beds down 25% due to staff shortages. Drug overdoses have surged, claiming 320 lives last year. Once vibrant cultural festivals have vanished, replaced by an eerie silence that haunts Plovdiv's ancient hills. Plovdiv isn't just emptying. It's being erased, a once proud city abandoned to time and despair. Number 4. Malmö, Sweden. Malmö, once Sweden's shining beacon of progress, has become its darkest burden in 2025. Over the past decade, nearly 35% of native-born Swedes, roughly 120,000 people, have abandoned the city, fleeing a landscape that feels increasingly alien. Some neighborhoods are now labeled no-go zones by police, where officers dare not patrol alone, requiring groups of 4 or more for safety. Gun violence, once unthinkable in Sweden, has become a chilling norm, with 42 shootings reported in 2024 alone, leaving Malmö's streets stained with fear. Unemployment among youth immigrants soars above 50%, fueling desperation and unrest. Schools are crumbling under the weight of language barriers, with 65% of students in some districts unable to follow lessons in Swedish, rendering integration a distant fantasy. Ethnic Swedes are escaping to quieter towns or leaving the country entirely, while vacancy rates in once thriving middle-class blocks climb to a staggering 28%. Property values have plummeted by 22% since 2020, as buyers shun a city where safety has vanished. The air in Malmö is thick with dread. Gang-related arson attacks have spiked, with 15 major fires in 2024 torching cars and buildings. Public transport is a gamble. Assaults on buses have risen 30%, leaving commuters clutching their bags and scanning for threats. Hospitals report a 40% surge in violence-related injuries, overwhelming an already strained system. Once lively markets now stand half-empty, their stalls abandoned to graffiti and decay. Malmö isn't multicultural anymore. It's fractured, a city breaking apart, hollowed out by fear and abandonment. Number 3. Thessaloniki, Greece. Thessaloniki, Greece's vibrant second city, is fading into a shadow of its former self, shrinking at an alarming pace. Once bustling with 1.1 million souls in 2011, its population has dwindled below 950,000 by 2025, a staggering 14% drop. Youth unemployment festers at over 40%, crushing the dreams of a generation. while the birth rate has plummeted to a dire 1.3 children per woman, signaling a city with no future in sight. Entire university blocks, once alive with debate and laughter, now stand eerily silent, their halls echoing with absence. Cafes that once buzzed with life are boarding up, 30% shuttered since 2022, while tourism, a lifeline for the city, has weakened to a trickle, down 25% from pre-COVID highs. Young Greeks are fleeing in droves to Germany, Australia, anywhere with a pulse of opportunity, leaving behind an aging population gripped by despair. Public services are in free fall. Healthcare wait times stretch beyond 3 months, with some hospitals reporting 40% staff shortages. Power cuts plague the city weekly, with 18 major outages in 2024 alone, plunging neighborhoods into darkness. The iconic waterfront, once Thessaloniki's beating heart, lies desolate on weekdays, its cafes and promenades haunted by the ghosts of better days. Infrastructure, neglected for decades, is crumbling. Roads are riddled with potholes, and 60% of public transport buses are out of service due to maintenance backlogs. Crime is creeping upward, with thefts up 20% and violent incidents spiking in abandoned districts. Homelessness has surged by 15%, with makeshift camps sprouting along the city's edges. Schools are merging, with student numbers down 22%, as families vanish. The air is heavy with fear, the streets cloaked in an unsettling quiet. Thessaloniki isn't alive anymore. It's teetering on the edge, waiting for a miracle or a funeral. Number 2, Palermo, Italy. This is the second city of Italy in our video list today. This thing might give you some hints. Palermo in 2025 is a chilling cautionary tale. A city unraveling under the weight of its own decay. Once a vibrant hub of 700,000 souls, its population has plummeted to fewer than 580,000. A staggering 17% drop in just a decade. Crime runs rampant, with a mafia resurgence gripping the city like a vice. Government paralysis has left Palermo defenseless, while the local economy lies in ruins, strangled by corruption and neglect. Youth unemployment soars at 54%, the highest in Western Europe, leaving a generation with nothing but despair. Foreign migration has carved out ghettos, isolated enclaves where integration is a forgotten dream, and tensions simmer in the shadows. Vacancy rates in districts like Bolaro and Zayan have skyrocketed past 40%, with abandoned buildings crumbling into decay, their broken windows staring blankly at empty streets. Public transport is a ghost of its former self, with 60% of buses out of service and schedules reduced to chaos. Half the city's streetlights flicker or fail, cloaking Palermo in an eerie darkness that mirrors its fading pulse. Tourism, once a lifeline, has all but vanished. Visitor numbers dropped 35% in 2024, leaving historic sites and markets desolate, haunted by stray dogs and the echo of lost crowds. Fear has taken root in Palermo's core. Violent crime has surged 25% since 2022. Schools are closing as student numbers collapse. 15 shut down last year alone, while the birth rate has sunk to a dire 1.2 children per woman, signaling a city with no future. Hospitals are overwhelmed, with wait times stretching to 6 months for basic care, and a 30% staff shortage crippling services. Garbage piles up on 45% of streets, uncollected for weeks, as municipal budgets teeter on bankruptcy. Drug overdoses claimed 430 lives in 2024, a grim record for Sicily. Palermo isn't just the front line of Italy's collapse. It's losing the battle, a city forsaken, sinking into a dark abyss of abandonment and dread. The population of immigrants in Italy is increasing very fast, but localities are leaving the country in cities. This is happening because Europeans feel uncomfortable living with non-Europeans. Right now, it is limited to some parts of Italy, but in the coming time, it can bring the whole of Europe to the brink of collapse. Number 1, Dnipro, Ukraine. Dnipro, once a proud industrial heart of Ukraine, stands as Europe's most heartbreaking tragedy in 2025. Before the war, it thrived with 1 million residents. Now, local estimates peg its population at a mere 600,000. A gut-wrenching 40% collapse. The war didn't just claim lives. It tore families apart, forcing women and children to flee to Poland, Germany, and beyond, while young men were conscripted into a relentless conflict. Infrastructure lies scarred. Bombed bridges and shattered utilities remain barely patched. The job market has evaporated, with 65% of pre-war industries shuttered, leaving ghost factories in their wake. Dnipro is physically intact but emotionally hollow, a city drained of its soul. Trains rumble through desolate stations, carrying no passengers. Markets open daily, their stalls stocked but untouched by shoppers, as 70% of commercial spaces stand vacant. Schools limp along, but classrooms echo with emptiness. Student enrollment has plummeted 45% since 2022. The silence is deafening, a haunting void louder than any bomb that ever fell. Fear cloaks Dnipro like a shroud. Nightly curfews and sporadic air raid sirens keep residents on edge, with 80% reporting chronic anxiety in local surveys. Crime has surged 22%, with looting and black market dealings thriving in the chaos. Healthcare is in crisis. Hospitals operate at 30 capacity, with medicine shortages delaying treatments by weeks. The birth rate has crashed to 0.9 children per woman, among Europe's lowest, signaling a city with no future generation. Power outages strike 20 times monthly, plunging neighborhoods into darkness. Homelessness has spiked 35%, with displaced families camping in abandoned buildings. Dnipro isn't just dying. It's Europe's most rapidly fading big city, its pulse fading under a crushing weight of loss and despair. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.